It sounds almost naive at this point after listening to all the good questions and answers, but your intergenerational message is a very strong one. And I wonder if you had the opportunity to engage people in the United States who may have had a good day on Tuesday, Tea Party movement, religious right, and so on, people who generally espouse a pro-family, pro-life, presumably caring attitude. I know things are tough because the economy is bad and everyone feels it personally, but I wonder if this argument might hold sway.
Yeah, we're going to try to promote this issue with next spring on Mother's Day, have a million children march. It's going to be difficult. You see, there's a communication problem. We could actually, if we could go and talk with each family, we could easily get the million and more. But how do you communicate with that number? But we have to start somewhere, so we're going to try next spring.
Well, but this is a new idea, right? We have Valentine's Day, we have Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas Day, right? We can kind of keep going. Last question.
Thank you. I'm Judith, and I'm a student from Hong Kong U. And I would like to ask, because I saw the video from Mr. John Liu, and he said that there is a strong relationship between environmental problems and poverty. And I totally agree with it because many developed countries, they're very smart, so they like to exploit the natural resources of the developing countries. And since they don't have no money, they have to agree to those contracts, and they exploit their natural resources, and which makes them harder for them to sustain their lives. So I guess besides having foreign aid, what else do you think we can do about it to end this vicious cycle? Thank you.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, part of the solution, we can't solve the problem entirely by phasing down our fossil fuels. We've got to, in these less developed areas where there is environmental degradation, we've got to address that. We've got to use some of the resources to do that. It's not, however, a case where I don't like the cap and offsets, because we really have to phase down the fossil fuels, so we can't let them off the hook by having them pretend that they're doing something in a different part of the world. These things need to be additional. They both need to be done. And that, I believe the potential for drawing down atmospheric carbon dioxide is really very large if we do restore the areas that have been environmentally degraded. So that has to be part of the solution.
I think maybe if you can buttonhole John Liu tomorrow, he also has an amazingly compelling story, which he didn't have time to share with you today, on Rwanda. And you know the history of Rwanda, the recent history of Rwanda, and how this country has had to kind of revive itself, and how it's using this kind of ecological ecosystems principles to get things going again. So, for a poor country, for rural areas, I mean, the lowest plateau is a pretty poor area. I think those are some of the things that are really far away from us living in very rich and urban Hong Kong. But these things are going on around us. And so I think perhaps one of the things that we can do in Hong Kong is learn about those examples. And whenever we are asked, I think Hong Kong has lots of money to give away, lots of manpower, right, women power, lots of professional resources, engineers, and so on. What is it that we can be doing in our own neighborhoods, in our own countries, to do some of this sort of restoration, to do energy efficiency and so on. So if we can get that kind of discussion going locally, not just looking at ourselves, but also the region, I think that would be a very good thing. And I think, Jim, your most important message to us today is we got to start getting going now, or actually yesterday. The first time I heard you, Jim, I think that was 5 years ago, I heard Jim speaking in Europe, in Sweden. And he said, we have 10 years, and I count every year, and we've lost 5 already. Yep. So, right? Yep. Every year or every day is important. So Jim, we wish to thank you for your generosity. Jim is doing like 9 events in Hong Kong, right, in 3 days. So thank you for being so generous with your time. And also thank you for taking an interest in this. I'm sorry not everybody who's here who wants to ask questions had a chance to do so. But come back tomorrow. Jim is here for half the day tomorrow, as well as, of course, there are other experts here that you can buttonhole. So thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you, Jim.